Let's see. We had Aaron O'Toole, too liberal. Andrew Scheer, too right for any moderates to really get behind. And now Pierre Poilievre, too combative. Why don't conservative supporters like their leader? Today we're talking politics with TPL's very own Brian Jedan. Well, am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, we just seem to have complaints nonstop from the right about their own leader. Leading up to the election, it looked like Poilievre had it in the bag, and then the election just disappeared to not a minority or not a majority government for the Liberals, but it was a big loss, and it was theirs to lose.
Well, okay, that election is gone. I don't care about that election anymore. I'm worried about the next one. And what's bothering me more than anything, I keep hearing all of this stuff from just about everyone. Oh, there's a likability factor. Pierre Poilievre, likability. Okay, conservatives, who are you going to like? You didn't like O'Toole. You didn't like Scheer. At one time, you didn't even like Harper. He was too much. He was too bland. He was too this. You get this colorful leader that comes out, addresses the House of Commons, does a great job in question period. He does everything that he needs to do. And then the conservatives start mucking about, getting into the weeds and going, well, likability. I don't think he's going to pass a leadership review. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. If the conservatives, all of us, don't get off our duffs and start trying to make our liberal friends regret their votes, we're not going to get anywhere. So that should be the Conservative Party's brand. The Liberal brand is crisis. Mark Carney is crisis.
Yeah,
Trudeau was crisis.
That's how he was labeled coming in. Their whole thing was, we deal with crisis. We are crisis leaders.
And then based on crisis, they do whatever the hell they want. And that's absurd.
Right.
So what the Conservatives need to do is make regret part of their election platform. You need to regret voting Liberal. Now, how's Pierre Poilievre going to do that? I have no idea. That's up to their guys in the back room.
But that essentially is the problem. That is the crux of it right there. What do you do while you're in Parliament? You have a lot of members of Parliament there on the Conservative side. What are you doing as a group to make change? Being combative in legislature, that's, interesting. Question period, that's interesting. But what are you doing to lead the party forward and combat the crisis chat? What are you doing to stop the narrative of crisis that allows liberties to be taken, money to be spent irresponsibly?
Well, all you have to do is look back at the Trudeau government. It was all irresponsible. They just got in and did whatever they want to do. The Liberal Party, in my mind, they thrive on this idea of cult of personality, right? Someone that they can put in, that they can control. They play this long game until they get the leader they want or they need so that they can exercise their platform without any obstruction whatsoever at all, right? So they finally got Trudeau. They put him in for 10 years. That was cult of personality. That guy wasn't bright enough to open a jar. And then you've got other people like
Allegedly.
Then you had Michael Ignatieff. Great, so smart. He was stupid. Before that, we had Jean Chrétien before that. I'll give Chrétien some credit. At least he balanced the budget. At least he did something.
The one stopping point everybody has on either side, when you talk about the history of political leaders and party leaders, Chrétien gets a pass. Why do you think that is? Everybody seems to have appreciated what Chrétien did. Why is that?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because he was an actual liberal. If you think that the Liberal Party of today is the same as Chrétien's Liberal Party, you got another thing coming entirely. It's been completely overthrown. It was overthrown by Trudeau and whatever cronies helped get him into power. They don't exist anymore. That Liberal Party is gone.
Well, I think we appreciated a common sense era, right? Where there was a plan. The plan was executed. We knew as citizens, as Canadians, we knew what the plan was. We saw where Chrétien was going. He kept us in the loop. He wasn't out there trying to steal headlines or create narratives or virtue signal. He did what seemed to make sense. And I think that's what Canadians, that's why he gets this pass entirely.
He did one thing that mattered to Canadians. He balanced the budget.
Yeah, we do appreciate that.
Okay, so Liberal Party, when are you going to balance the budget? When are you going to
When are
tell
we
him
going to
you're
see
gonna do
the
something?
budget? When are we going to see the expenditures? When are we going to see what Trudeau spent in his last term?
Well, okay, let's go with that. Now, Carney is a money guy. He was the governor of Bank of Canada. He can't figure stuff out. He can't give us a hint. He's not using his brain and his words at the same time to tell us what the hell's going on. He admonishes media. He admonishes the conservative base. He admonishes the liberal base. Dare you ask a question of King Mark, you're screwed.
It seems to me that he's been more focused on visiting his friends around the world as prime minister. Look, I'm the prime minister now. Last time I was just a banker. Now I'm the prime minister.
Well,
it's very odd. He spent a summer traveling, doing goodwill visits to places where he just seemed to hand out money and align us with programs that don't make a lick of difference.
Well, Mr. Carney, I think he has another long game plan, and the long game is to run us deeper into the EU. That's what he's going to do. When Trudeau got in, what's the first thing he did? Oh, we're going to sign this little agreement with the EU, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Sounds great on the surface. Let me remind you of one European country, Greece. Look what happened when they got into the EU.
Yeah.
They went bankrupt. Why? Because the drachma disappeared, and olives now had to be bought for the same price as the EU, as the euro. And the next thing you know, they're going broke. They can't sell their olives.
So you're saying the cult of personality is more important than the actual resume or the plan, because the Liberals have a plan. They put their cult of personality on it that wins with the general public. You know, he looks like the Prime Minister of Canada. I can't deny it. The smug, cheeky face of Poilievre is a little tough to see as a leader, I hear. And you know, his combative attitude seems like maybe not a ministerial approach. But it is, nonetheless, he's the guy, the face of this thing. And we don't really see a plan. We see a combat strategy. And I think that's part of what's missing from the conservative approach right now. We went back to school and nobody seemed to have a plan to get better marks.
Well, Poilievre's presence in the House, the way that he conducts himself, that is every leader from about the mid-60s until the 1980s. That's
true.
how Parliament went,
Yeah.
right? It was tic-tac, back and forth, and that's what it was going to be. So I don't think there's a real problem with the way that he's conducting himself. What he needs to do, in my humble opinion, is not necessarily tone it down. Do what you're doing in the House of Commons. Continue to do that. Hold them to account, right? Make them look like fools. What's
That's
the
his
number?
job, yeah.
What's the number? That's your job, because I'm going to see that soundbite on the news, and so are the Liberals. But what that has to be tempered with right now is some sage wisdom, the appearance of sage wisdom. You know what? You probably shouldn't have done that, voting for the Liberals, because this is what it is now, and you've put yourselves into this position, and you know, we're here to help. That's all that I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's all anybody else needs to hear. I'm going to vote Conservative next round no matter what. I'll tell you that right now. I like or hate Poilievre. I can't do any more Liberal. I'm finished. I'm finished, especially after this scandal the other day with the guy about the firearms and, oh, it's a waste. Yeah, I know it's a waste. Everybody knows it's a waste. Why don't you go do something good with that money? Like, I don't know, buy some MRI machines, build a hospital, use that money to hire some more consultants to balance the budget. Let's just go right off the rails on that one. Show me what you can do, right? Do some ciphering, grab your pen.
I want you to, I don't want you to hold back today. Okay. Jedan, it's important to me that you just share how you feel, but these are all good points. And of course, unfortunately, you hear conservatives consistently every day now, around me anyway, saying, what's the Conservative Party doing? What were they up to? Do they have a strategy? Have I been left? Has my party left me just to appreciate the most conservative the Liberals can give me in the way of Carney?
No, the party hasn't left anyone. People are leaving the party. What nobody seems to realize is that our elected officials in the Conservative Party and our candidates and whomever else is helping them are vilified to a degree that we've never seen in Canadian politics before.
Right.
And then once a majority government comes in, whether it's Conservative or Liberal, we're stuck with a king. And they can do whatever they want. And that's been the problem with the Liberal Party. You think they're fighting right now to do anything really? No, they're in the back rooms figuring out how to get more votes so they can get a majority to slam through some other garbage legislation that's going to screw me up and screw you up and screw up the middle class and screw up poor people and screw up rich people. It's going to screw up everything. That is actually, there's the liberal brand.
How do you feel about them stripping away speech liberties and applying hate laws that could land you in jail for life?
Well, let me tell you, I think that's a joke. I think that is absolutely a bridge too far. I don't like to make people make these things, oh, Nazi this, fascist that, fascist this. I don't care. Take that word out of it. It's idiocy. It is, I want to know everything. I want everybody to say what they want to say. You got hate, you got speech. Hate speech. No, you just keep the two apart. I want to know where the crazy people are. If the crazy people are in the street, I want to hear the crazy people, because then the police hear the crazy people. Then the government hears the crazy people. But if I'm going to come out and if people are going to come out and say, well, you know what, the Liberal Party did this or they did that, they're going to brand everything hate speech.
Forget about crazy people, people with new ideas, people with ways to communicate about a topic that are difficult are going to be silenced when a solution could lie in that discussion. In the words that people say, the intention could be lost, the context could be lost, and then these people can land themselves in jail. Not only have we silenced speech, but we've silenced an intellectual in our midst, somebody who wants to share an opinion, whether we like it or not.
Well, let me just say this about that. There are no new ideas. There's none. On the left claims they're full of new ideas.
Apparently our beards are proof of that, as they match almost perfectly.
Yeah, there you go.
And I really thought I had something different here.
But no. But the thing with them is that with the left in particular is that they have no new ideas. They all go back to that old idea called Marxism, and they want to do they read that little book and they go, well, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. It sounds like a great idea. So they don't have a new idea. They're using a really old ancient idea that got people killed and saying, we can do it better. That's arrogant. That's stupid. The conservatives need to get out there and say, you should regret these ideas. I'm back to regret. The brand of the Conservative Party should be to paint the Liberals as the biggest regret of your existence.
I think I'm the only guy you know who gets a pretty even algorithm, okay? Because I look at both sides. I have to for what we do. And I'm going to tell you, there is nobody on the Liberal side complaining about what the Liberals are doing. And there are all kinds of conservatives complaining about what the Liberals are doing until our prime minister dropped the bomb that he is backing Palestine as a state. And suddenly everything online is opened up on that discussion front. But up until that point, the only people that are representing the Conservative Party are conservative people themselves. The party is not out there really doing anything in the way of saying, well, you made a mistake. The party, the Conservative Party, does not seemingly want to do what you're saying they should do, which is say, okay, Canada, you made a mistake. You made putting the onus on the voter rather than the party.
Well, the voter is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Look, if you're out there and you got to cast your ballot, you're not casting your ballot for your neighbor. You're casting it for yourself. So you've got to go out there and look, just search deep inside Mr. or Mrs. Liberal and take a look at yourself and go, why am I paying this much for hydro? Why am I paying this much for food? Why am I paying this much for oil and gas? And don't tell me it's because the environment is collapsing. It's because you made a really, really bad decision, a really bad one that cost everybody a ton of money. And then they'll go, well, there was COVID. I don't care if there was COVID. Not my problem. Look at the government and say, why am I funding wars? Why am I selling weapons too?
Why am I spending $60, $70 million on programs I can't even justify? There's not even a receipt for.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting older and I want some money for me too.
Right.
My pension's not going to be there. I can guarantee it. So they have to get it together and ask themselves the question. You're a liberal. You need to understand why you're voting, which means read something. Read something. Don't just watch the CBC snippet.
I'm going to ask our producer, Nick, at the moment, just to get the defibrillator ready as I close off today by saying, Brian Jedan, thank you for raising your blood pressure and representing the side of it. It's an important discussion. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks.
That's it for us today on the Daily Canceled. For myself and the super liberal Brian Jedan, Just kidding, buddy.
Can you call 911?
He feels a pain in his arm. Thanks for joining us. It's a Daily Counsel. Subscribe, tell a friend. Thanks for listening and watching.